So I'm here today with Peter. A couple months ago, when we first started exploring the possibility of working together, I mean, what were those things where it's like, man, if Austin can just help me solve XYZ, like that would be exactly what I need. I mean, a couple months ago, where were you at that really compelled you to want to work with me to get some things fixed?
Well, I had a sales strategy that relied on me doing most of the talking, and that worked maybe, I want to say 1 out of 5 calls. And I was just selling resumes only. But when I saw your one-on-one, I mean, not your call with the group, that initial one through the
Yep.
program, I'm like, this dude is different. There's something about how he sells, and you were very authoritative about how this should work. And I'm like, if this program is going to work, I want to maximize every opportunity to make it work. So that's when I reached out. We did one-on-one. I'm like, yeah, this is it. And your strategy is 180 degrees from what I was doing, and it makes more sense. I mean, let the client do the talking, right? Let them identify their pain points, talk themselves into the sale almost, right?
Yeah. Looking back, like from the first one-on-one to like our one-on-one, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago as we finished up.
Yeah.
If you were to look at a visual transcript of like you talking versus the prospect talking, in the beginning, it was like you, and then the prospect would have a little blurb, and then you, and then the prospect would have a little blurb. And now it's
Yeah.
a literal inverse where you have a little
Mm-hmm.
blurb, which is you asking a good, authoritative, thoughtful question. And then they give you the transcript back with the answer. And then instead of you talking and relating and dropping random things in, you just ask another question using brevity. And it's like short question, they give you the answer, short question, they give you the answer. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like usually you would see a perfect inverse of where you were at in the beginning. And it's
Mm-hmm.
exhausting too, right? Like you
Yeah.
speaking over and having to come up with all this stuff. And like, it's just
Yeah.
exhausting. And then they don't buy anyway. And then it's like, well, what are we doing here? Where now you're just asking thoughtful questions. And it goes back to
Mm-hmm.
my golden rule of people will gauge your level of intelligence based on the quality of the questions that you ask, not the statements that you make. So when you ask better questions, you get better answers and you increase your close percentage pretty significantly.
That's it. That's exactly it. I had some really bad habits that I had to break through this process, and you're right. It's a lot easier. I used to look up the client, used to try to get their background, I'd scour their resume and prepare for this call. But now I get on and I'm like, so what got you interested? And from there, they kind of guide the conversation. I know where the conversation wants to go. So I ask the questions to keep us focused on their pain points and their struggles. And then before you know it, the trust factor is a lot higher than it used to be.
Yep.
I'm not scrambling in my head for clever, cute dialogue that never worked anyway. And
Yeah.
I'm establishing what we need to establish: authority and trust.
Mm. Yep. I like the
Absolutely.
no clever or cute dialogue, right? It sounds fancy when you
Right.
read a book and then you try and put it in action and it's clunky
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
weird and people are just like, okay, that was kind of cheesy. And then
Yeah.
it just distances them from the sale.
Yeah. And I never used to look back on my sales calls. I never really thought to do that. But when I did, I'm like, oh my God, no. So and now it's just a whole different
Yeah.
paradigm of how to sell. So I really feel
Well,
like if I had to go sell somewhere else and sell another product, I could take these principles with me and succeed there too.
yeah. I remember we'd do like a one-on-one and you're like, all right, I know I screwed this up. Fast forward it, fast forward it. We don't need to watch it. And I'm like, we're gonna watch it. Let's sit down. Let's like really figure out what we can do better here.
Yeah.
And it's comfortable. Like I remember when I was a brand new sales rep many, many, many years ago, and I would get my calls reviewed. Like you're in the hot seat and it's uncomfortable. But after one or
Yeah.
two times, I just learned to really love it because I was like, this is where the most growth is
Hmm.
going to happen when somebody
Yeah.
can hold my feet to the fire and
Yeah.
say, this was good, this was bad, this was good, this was bad. And I can take the good and I can fix the bad. That's how I'm going to develop the fastest. And then
Hmm.
what was really the game changer for me is although I was getting calls reviewed regularly by a coach, I would also start reviewing my own calls. And I know that's
Yeah.
something I teach to all of the people who go through my program. It's like, you don't have to wait around for me to review a call. You can fire it up and listen to it. And you can start to coach and yourself through it and hear myself in your head. Like,
Yeah.
Austin would have told me to do it this way. He would have fixed it that way.
Yeah.
So it's a
There's
powerful
another question I could have asked. That kind of
exactly.
thing.
You would
You know,
have
and
the light bulb moments where like before I would pause the Zoom recording and before I could coach you on it, you were like,
yeah.
I should have done this. I should have dug deeper there. And that's the sign of progress is when I don't have to keep telling you everything. And then you're like, oh, that makes sense. You're the one spitting it out. Like I should have done that. And I was like, that's exactly what I was going to say. And then we can keep it moving. So
Yeah, no, it's great. And you said a word a while back here, growth, and just going from a resume writer with moderate success to a full-on coach and taking the things that I already have and just actually bundling them into a greater service option was growth.
yeah,
But then how to sell it was more growth. And just the fact that I could grow. I mean, look at me, I'm not young, right? But I can still grow, right? And be better at something. And I just that experience, the growth experience, I mean, you can't pay for that. It's just wow. It's tremendous. It really is.
yeah. I think that's what gets me out of bed every morning is watching that growth. Like ever since I've been a
Yeah.
little kid, I like building things. And now that I'm
Okay.
an adult, I like to watch businesses and people grow. And
Mm,
watching you grow throughout our time together, I remember the very first call, and then looking back to our last call, it's like it's two totally different individuals, not just with like your sales process and the way that you do that, but your mindset, your belief, your confidence in yourself and your program. Like it's radically different. So I'm excited for it. I'm really proud of you.
well, thanks. I really appreciate painful though it was at times. I'm so glad I came through the process. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm just I don't ecstatic at what I know now and how to apply it. And when I get up to bat and get to talk to a prospect, it's just wow. I know that I'm in the driver's seat
Yeah.
on that. So yeah.
That's amazing. Well, Peter, thanks for jumping on, brother. We'll catch up. We'll chat soon.